Triple H's booking can easily ruin the Wyatt Six. Why Seth Rollins made a sudden surprise return. A major update in the trial of a former WWE champion. What Triple H said after Drew McIntyre quit WWE. Drew McIntyre changes his social media account after quitting. TNA Wrestling reaches out to Drew McIntyre. The Bloodline's plans on WWE SmackDown did not make any sense. The Wyatt Six killed all opponents. Jey Uso calls out the Wyatt Six. And more. Let's dive right in. Why Seth Rollins made a sudden surprise return. Seth Rollins made a surprising return during the opening segment of tonight's edition of WWE Raw. The Visionary had not appeared in WWE since Night 2 of WrestleMania XL. The veteran lost the World Heavyweight Championship to Drew McIntyre at the Show of Shows, only for Damian Priest to successfully cash in his Money in the Bank contract on the Scottish Warrior minutes later. Rollins and Priest had a confrontation on tonight's Raw to tease a possible title match. Number 1. Seth Rollins wants to become champion once again on WWE Raw. Seth Rollins kicked off tonight's edition of WWE Raw and said he was back to capture the World Heavyweight Championship. Damian Priest successfully defended the title against Drew McIntyre this past Saturday night at Clash at the Castle. The World Heavyweight Champion interrupted Rollins' promo tonight on Raw and noted that the veteran used to be better than him. However, Priest stated that was not the case today and challenged him to a match at Money in the Bank. Rollins accepted the challenge, and the two stars will compete for the title at the Premium Live event in Toronto next month. Number 2. Damian Priest needs another top opponent for a major rivalry. Gunther won the King of the Tournament last month, and as a result of the victory, the Ring General has earned a shot at the World Heavyweight Championship at SummerSlam. Damian Priest has had an impressive title reign so far, but it would mean a great deal for him to get a victory over Seth Rollins at Money in the Bank. Priest overcoming Rollins would give him some momentum heading into SummerSlam in Cleveland on August 3rd. Gunther might still be the favorite to win the match at SummerSlam, but the Archer of Infamy would be seen as a much stronger champion if he is able to defeat Rollins at Money in the Bank next month. Number 3. Drew McIntyre will not be going after the title ahead of WWE SummerSlam. Drew McIntyre's obsession with CM Punk cost him the World Heavyweight Championship at WWE WrestleMania XL. He defeated Rollins but quickly went over to the commentary table to taunt the former AEW star. It backfired tremendously, as Punk bashed him over the head with his cast, and Damian Priest seized the moment to become the new World Heavyweight Champion. McIntyre may not be focused on going after Priest following his loss at Clash at the Castle. Instead, he could have reached a new level of obsession with CM Punk and may target the controversial star in the months ahead. Number 4. WWE needs as many stars as possible. The promotion has been dealing with the injury bug as of late, including Seth Rollins, who had a torn meniscus following WrestleMania XL. Charlotte Flair, Asuka, CM Punk, Dominic Mysterio, Bobby Lashley, and more stars are all currently on the shelf with injuries. Seth Rollins' wife, Becky Lynch, had her contract expire recently and has not appeared on Raw since May 27th, adding to the lack of stars on television. Rollins' return brings instant star power to Raw and has already led to a massive World Heavyweight Championship match at Money in the Bank. The company is always in need of big names on its programming, and Rollins coming back has already created a ton of buzz. Becky Lynch's reaction to Seth Rollins' return. Becky Lynch stepped away from WWE after her contract expired on June 1st. The star is technically a free agent at this time, and she's taking a hiatus from the company. However, that didn't stop her from reacting to her husband's return to the ring following a 2-month absence. Rollins last wrestled at WrestleMania 40, where he lost on the first night against The Rock and Roman Reigns, and against Drew McIntyre to lose his title on night 2. Unfortunately, he had been carrying an injury for some time, and as a result, after the losses, he took time away from the show to recover. Given the extent of his injuries and the procedures he was going through, it was thought that he would be away for a long time. However, he surprised everyone by returning during this week's WWE Raw to kick things off. Becky Lynch, his wife, immediately gave an overwhelming reaction. She reposted the tense moment Rollins had backstage and put 3 heart eye emojis on Instagram, obviously overcome seeing him make a return. The Visionary also did not waste any time getting exactly what he wanted. He's set for a World Heavyweight Championship match against Damian Priest at Money in the Bank. A major update in the trial of a former WWE champion. A former WWE superstar's fraud trial date has been made official. The promotion is currently coming off a successful Clash at the Castle, Scotland Premium Live event, and will be hosting tonight's episode of Raw in Corpus Christi, Texas. According to a new report from PW Insider, the trial date for Ted DiBiase Jr. has been made official for next year. DiBiase Jr. has been implicated in Mississippi's largest fraud case in history, and his brother has already entered in a guilty plea. The original trial date was set for July, but it has been delayed. PW Insider is reporting that the new trial date is now scheduled for January 7th, 2025, with a pre-trial conference also set for December 13th, later this year. The scandal is due to the misappropriation of around $77 million intended to be paid to low-income families in Mississippi. Legendary NFL quarterback Brett Favre has also been accused of using the funds for personal gain. Ted DiBiase Jr. has shared his thoughts on having to follow in the million-dollar man Ted DiBiase's footsteps in the professional wrestling business. In an interview with Chris Van Vliet on his Insight podcast in 2021, the former member of the legacy noted that expectations from him were higher due to the standards set by his father. DiBiase Jr. added that a lot was expected from him in WWE before he even had much experience in the industry. Personally, I feel like they were. That's a personal opinion, Ted DiBiase Jr. said. But yeah, you want to do justice to the legacy when that torch is passed and you are trusted with the opportunity. The difference was my dad had, I don't know how many years in Mid-South and in the territories leading up to his career in WWF. Whereas for me, I trained for a year in Eldon, had 4 months in Japan, and when I get back, WWE hires me. A year later, I am debuting on TV. It's about 2 years in the making, and then here I am, a WWE superstar. And my dad introduces me May 26, 2008. I believe it was in Denver, Colorado. I felt the pressure big time that night for sure. Ted DiBiase Jr. captured the World Tag Team Championship twice with Cody Rhodes during his time as a WWE superstar. Only time will tell how the 41-year-old's trial will play out next January. A popular wrestler passes away at the age of 35. It is an extremely sad time for the pro wrestling world, as popular British wrestler James Castle passed away on June 15, 2024, at only 35. Castle's real name was Jamie Stacey, and he was a regular on the London and UK independent wrestling scene. The star also performed for Revolution Pro, where he won the Tag Team Championship and helped elevate the promotion. James's partner Zoe Lucas recently took to X Twitter to break the news of the star's demise. Zoe mentioned that Castle passed away on June 15th after battling with acute myeloid leukemia for 4 years. Lucas also revealed that her partner had to go through 12 rounds of chemotherapy, 2 bone marrow transplants, and radiotherapy throughout the last 4 years. On Saturday, 15th of June, after 4 years of treatment, 12 rounds of chemotherapy, 2 bone marrow transplants, radiotherapy, and countless experimental trials, we lost Jamie Stacey, Air James Castle, 49, to acute myeloid leukemia. Thank you for giving me the best 9 years of my life, she wrote. Revolution Pro's official X Twitter handle recently posted a message for James Castle. They wrote that Castle was a super talent inside the squared circle and was the first wrestler who trained from scratch at their Portsmouth school. RevPro also mentioned that there were many stories to tell about James, and they will make sure all of them are told. We are saddened to share the loss of our dear friend Jamie Stacey, aka James Castle, after a 4-year battle with leukemia. A former tag team champion, Jamie was a super talent in the ring. The first wrestler trained from scratch at our Portsmouth school, and without his help behind the scenes, RevPro would not be here today. A truly wonderful human being, a warrior, a fighter, the most interesting and intelligent man to ever step foot inside a RevPro ring. There are so many stories to tell, and we will make sure they are all told. We love you and will make sure you are remembered forever, they wrote. What Triple H said after Drew McIntyre quit WWE. Triple H has his hands full after WWE Raw, with Drew McIntyre pulling off the unexpected. The star appeared on Raw, decided he had enough, and called it a day. Drew McIntyre has not had the best of luck in WWE recently. At WrestleMania, he lost his title within minutes of winning it thanks to CM Punk's attack and Damian Priest cashing in the Money in the Bank briefcase. He suffered an elbow injury and then lost out on rematch opportunities. Most recently, he lost his chance to win back the title from Damian Priest thanks to another interference by CM Punk, who replaced the injured referee at Clash at the Castle. He decided that it was enough for him to call it quits on his time in WWE. He cursed the company and said that he was done before quitting and leaving WWE Raw. He went to the back, where he interacted with Triple H. The WWE CCO was not too pleased with the fact that he was leaving and tried to reason with him. However, McIntyre was not listening to reason and said that everyone was to be blamed for this and left while Adam Pearce followed him. Triple H was left staring at McIntyre. Triple H said that things were not supposed to happen this way, but McIntyre was not having it. The game even pushed the camera out of the way to keep the moment separate. Things really spilled out of control on the Red brand this week. Not only did Drew McIntyre quit, but Braun Breaker also went on another attacking spree as well, taking out Sheamus as well as Ludwig Kaiser. To close it all off, there was a massacre on Raw with the Wyatt Six making their debut. Uncle Howdy and 4 other stars left the backstage area completely destroyed. Fans will have to wait and see what happens next on Raw. Drew McIntyre changes his social media account after quitting WWE. Drew McIntyre did the unthinkable on Monday Night Raw when he quit the company tonight. His actions were clearly in kayfabe, as he recently re-signed with the Stamford-based promotion. Shortly after making the major announcement, McIntyre deactivated his Twitter X handle. The former WWE champion was one of the most active superstars on the platform, especially in his rivalry against CM Punk. At Clash at the Castle, Scotland, Punk once again got one over McIntyre. The Second City Saint cost his arch-rival the World Heavyweight Championship match against Damian Priest. Punk hit McIntyre with a low blow, allowing Priest to retain his championship. This wasn't the first time Punk cost McIntyre the World Heavyweight Championship. At WrestleMania XL, he ignited a brawl with the Scotsman, allowing Priest to cash in his Money in the Bank contract and win the title. Following Punk's actions in Scotland, he is set to appear on the upcoming episode of Friday Night SmackDown, airing live from his hometown of Chicago. After quitting Raw, Drew McIntyre could also appear on the Blue brand and continue his feud with Punk. TNA Wrestling reaches out to Drew McIntyre after his quitting. TNA Wrestling seemingly reacted to Drew McIntyre announcing his departure from WWE on the latest episode of Monday Night Raw. The multi-time world champion shocked the world after he quit the company during the show. Last Saturday, Drew McIntyre collided with Damian Priest for the coveted title in the main event of Clash at the Castle in his home country of Scotland. Once again, CM Punk cost him the match. The voice of the voiceless dressed up as a referee while the original official was taken out. He then hit Drew with a low blow, and Damian Priest finished it with the South of Heaven chokeslam. On Raw this week, a dejected Drew McIntyre came out to the ring to address what took place last Saturday. He said screw WWE and announced that he was quitting. After the segment, TNA Wrestling took to X to share a throwback clip of the Scottish Warrior, making his debut for the promotion back in 2015 when he was known as Drew Galloway. TNA and WWE are currently working together, which means it wouldn't be impossible for the former WWE champion to pop up on an episode of TNA Impact in order to sell the storyline. The Bloodline's plans on WWE SmackDown did not make any sense. The Bloodline has had a rough last few days, as the members were subjected to multiple beatings on WWE SmackDown and at Clash at the Castle. However, Vince Russo was not impressed with the heel faction's look of weakness against Randy Orton on the Blue brand. The 44-year-old returned to action on SmackDown for the first time since King and Queen of the Ring. Orton came out to save Kevin Owens, who suffered a 3-on-1 beatdown from Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga, and Tonga Loa. Randy managed to get the better of the group, laying out Loa with an RKO. Speaking on Sportskeeda Wrestling's Legion of Raw, Vince Russo highlighted that Randy Orton taking out the entire Bloodline on his own did not impress him, as it made the heel faction look weak. The first thing I saw was the big, bad, everybody fears top of the third Bloodline on Friday night. Then I saw one guy come out and lay out the entire Bloodline. I am supposed to be afraid of this faction? Randy Orton came out. One guy laid out every single member of the Bloodline. The idea for the Bloodline is to get continuous heat, like NWO, the veteran said. The heel faction is being led by Solo Sikoa in Roman Reigns' absence. The Enforcer seems to have set his sights on Cody Rhodes as the Bloodline attacked the American Nightmare at WWE Clash at the Castle after his victory over AJ Styles. The Wyatt Six killed all opponents. The Wyatt Six made its much-anticipated debut on WWE Raw in Corpus Christi, Texas, and attacked several stars backstage. Bronson Reed, who has a match next week, is confused about what happened and is seeking answers. As announced on Raw, Reed was supposed to face Braun Strowman and Chad Gable in a triple threat Money in the Bank qualifier match next week. However, the two men were among the victims of Wyatt Six assault. Big Bronson asked Raw general manager Adam Pearce on his official X account whether he qualified for the MITB match by default. He was a little confused because Strowman and Gable looked lifeless following the attack. So my opponents are dead? Scrap Daddy AP, do I get in by default? I mean, how could you not want this at MITB unless you're a big bozo? Reed wrote. As of this writing, WWE has not provided an update on the condition of the superstars who the Wyatt Six brutalized. The group currently features Uncle Howdy, Abby the Witch, Ramblin' Rabbit, Huskus the Pig, and Mercy the Buzzard. On their debut, the Wyatt Six left a trail of blood and bodies backstage that got the fans talking. All members represent the Firefly Funhouse characters conceptualized by Bray Wyatt. It's known that Wyatt's real-life brother, Bo Dallas, is behind Uncle Howdy. Nikki Cross is Abby the Witch. while former Wyatt family member Eric Rowan is Ramblin' Rabbit. Rowan wields a hammer, possibly a tribute to Brody Lee for their time as the Bludgeon Brothers. Joe Gacy is now part of the main roster as Huskus the Pig, and Dexter Lumis is back after a year of absence as Mercy the Buzzard. With their appearance on Raw, the earlier reports about the group's members have now been confirmed. Jey Uso calls out the Wyatt Six. Jey Uso has shared his reaction to the Wyatt Six debut on the latest episode of WWE Monday Night Raw. The sinister group showed up in the arena after his match in the main event of the show. The former Bloodline member has been using fireflies for his entrance lately, which was made popular by the late Bray Wyatt. For several months now, QR codes have popped up during WWE programming, hinting at the group's arrival. They finally appeared on Raw this week, and the members were identified as Joe Gacy, Nikki Cross, Dexter Lumis, Eric Rowan, and Bo Dallas. Speaking to Kathy Kelly on Raw Talk, Jey Uso said he doesn't want any beef with the Wyatt Six, and that the group can have the Fireflies back if they want. I don't want no smoke with them. I mean, for all I care, they can have the Fireflies back because I want no problem with them. But I'm very happy I did activate the Fireflies in this thing. Shout out to my boy, still my boy, still gonna show love to Bray Wyatt. But his family is here now, that means I gotta go, he said. Jey Uso qualified for the Money in the Bank ladder match on WWE Raw this week. It'll be interesting to see what transpires in the coming weeks. Triple H's booking can easily ruin the Wyatt Six. Former WWE head writer Vince Russo feels Triple H may not be the best person to book the Wyatt Six. The faction returned to Raw this week to a raucous ovation. This week's episode of Raw finished with a Money in the Bank triple threat qualifying match featuring Jey Uso, Finn Balor, and Rey Mysterio. Uso picked up the win. In the aftermath of the encounter, the lights went off and Uncle Howdy and his associates showed up. This week on Sports Kita, Wrestling's Legion of Raw, Russo mentioned he wanted to see the Wyatt Six. He claimed that if the usual creative team under Triple H worked on the booking, the faction would be ruined soon. The former writer hoped that WWE could get outside writers or movie makers to book this faction. Why not start with Uncle Howdy? This had me captivated, paying full attention to my television screen the last 5 minutes. People are dead. I don't know. They're all dead. I'm watching this and I'm saying, okay, bro, in 3 weeks, are we gonna get the Rabbit and the guy in the mask in a tag team match against the New Day? Like, who is going to write this? I'm telling you right now, if the wrestling people write this is dead in the water in under a month. If literally outside television, horror writers, movie makers write this, I'm all for it. If Triple H writes this, you're gonna have Chad Gable get his revenge on the guy in a freaking bunny suit in 3 weeks on Raw.